As we jump back into the market with the SP 500, the Nasdaq 100, when you talk about exactly what happened on the day, we had a lot of sideways movement, a lot of consolidation into tomorrow with CPI, one of the biggest days of the month, if you will, because it's going to tell us exactly what inflation is doing. But as I'm looking at this market, I have an overall prediction of how I think CPI will move based on news that was released. And before we go any further, I have to ask you to consider doing two things: liking and subscribing. Every single day, I am going over the charts, going over the breaking news and the key levels you need to be watching. Now, some of my thumbnails may be a little clickbait, but you never have to question the honesty here on the channel and me being unbiased. Now, I also do have the Discord as well if you're interested. The link is down below. We're talking all day long. Over 100 traders in the live voice chat every single day. Almost 50 sitting in there right now as we speak. But let's get back to the content. So what we're looking at here specifically, and I want to talk about some of this news first, but as we get in here, go into the 1 hour chart, we broke over that 12.8 level. And if you watch basically Friday's video, the point of that was getting to this point, right? Getting to this Nasdaq point and getting to this ES point. And ES is right at the breakout point. And what point am I talking about? If we go to the 4 hour, you can see how big of a level this really has been for the past almost year and a half, going on 2 years. If we come back, you can see how often this level's been tested, how it's been tried and true, going through that Ukraine low back in February, coming here again, getting rejected again, and now again. And we've seen massive volatility come from this actual breakout point. So we have to highlight this, right? And going into this point, you always anticipate a rejection on your first test, or you anticipate a bounce on your first test, right? So if you're above and you're coming down, you expect to bounce your first try. And if you're below, you expect to reject your first try. But today was weird. Today was interesting. So if we break it down to more of like a 5-minute chart, we can actually see what happened here. And today, in my opinion, was extremely, extremely bullish. Going into this, what happened? Now, I was not on the long side of the market until basically mid to end day. Why? Going over the past few days, basically, let's go since Friday. You can see we're making higher lows on Nasdaq continually, nonstop. Higher lows, higher highs, you're trending to the upside, right? You're pushing up. Now you can actually see here as well, you are consolidating in this demand zone, trying to break to the upside. Now, what does this tell us? If you get into a demand zone and you get to a level where you expect to be rejected, what do you expect to happen here? You expect sellers to step in to push you down, right? So if we go based on previous charts, again, I like to use the previous charts so you can see what's happening here in the future, right? So previously, you came down, guess what happened? Buyers stepped in and pushed you up. What happened before? You broke above, guess what? Buyers stepped in and pushed you up. What happened before that when you tested the first time? You got to push up, sellers pushed you down when you're below it, right? You can go on and see how this plays out, right? And so with what's happening now is you're seeing actually sellers not step up. So what does this tell us? This tells us that sellers are either exhausted or they're not even bothering. But there was a few things else really happening here. Before I go into that news and what's happening there, look at VIX, for instance. VIX actually was trying to move up today. And I have a lot of traders telling me about this. It's all over Twitter. Everyone's saying, oh, well, look, today VIX is up. It's pushing up. I'm going to tell you what exactly this means. VIX is a measure of volatility. And what's happening tomorrow? Tomorrow's CPI data, which has been historically a volatile day over the past 6 months. What does that mean? People are hedging, okay? We're going to go into the flow and what's happening there, but people are hedging their positions with VIX. That's what they're doing. It's very simple. I explain it here all the time, and I don't want to even go over this, but I know people are going to be asking me down in the comments. Now, also, people are going to be saying, well, Tyler, weren't you bearish on Friday? What did I say? I said I did not have any downside positions. I was out. I was done. I wasn't going to do it. Why? Because going into this, I said, I'm just going to see how we react. And guess what? We got our answer, right? So what am I in now? Before we go any further, I'm going to tell you, I have some Microsofts. There's 2 of those that I like. I have both of those positions. And then I also got the NVIDIA 150s for next week. And I also have longer term NVIDIAs as well, all the way for either October or November. I can't remember where exactly those are, but I mentioned those in the previous videos as well. That's what I'm sitting in. I ended up cutting almost half of those NVIDIA positions because they got up around 30%. Microsoft is sitting pretty flat and good as we speak as well. We'll get into that later in the video. But going over some of the news, what did I retweet today? This was some of the big news out of the gate. New York Fed 1-year inflation expectations fall from 6.2 to 5.7. That's bullish. They expect inflation to drop. Then this was released. This was from, I believe, I want to Credit Suisse. It was their overall expectation of CPI coming in tomorrow. You can read this whole thing and it's going to get you lost. Well, for people that are new, not to, I guess, they don't understand too much of the verbiage being used here. This first line is really what you need to see. We expect headline inflation to fall 0.2%, which is not a big move, which would be the first decline in headline CPI in 2 years. That's the biggest thing here. Then they go on a sharp drop in gasoline prices should make up on the deflation this month. Headline year-over-year inflation slowed for the second consecutive month, yada, yada, yada. That's what we're looking at there. So CPI tomorrow, that's our expectations. Now, also, before we go too far into anything else, people are going to ask me, and they've been asking me in the comments about energy prices, what's happening there. Everyone knows I'm bullish on energy into the end of the year, into next year, right? Now, you broke from this level and you're getting back into it. People are saying, well, gasoline prices have dropped. Energy prices have dropped, Tyler, since, the beginning of the month. Okay, first of all, CPI is not a measure of the past 12 days, right? They're getting data. It's backlog data. It's not data from the last 14 days. It's basically the last month, right? So you're going to be getting a bulk of this data as well. So if you really look at how energy prices moved, I would be more pricing this right here. So basically, it was back and forth. You went down, starting to draw right there. You went down, you went up, went down, you went up, okay? And then you dropped down. So really, if you're looking at this right here, this is going to more affect the next CPI data report. That's how I would look at that. Because you have to recognize when oil prices drop, that does not immediately affect your local gas station. I mean, think about it, right? If the prices drop, they still have to sell the gas they just bought. Simple thinking there. Don't want to overcomplicate it. That's what's going on there. So going into this, going into Nasdaq, going into expectations of what's happening here. I expect CPI to be flat with a slight maybe beat. So you want CPI to drop. It might drop a few points. I don't see it dropping a whole percent or anything crazy like that. But any type of beat is going to be good. Why? For instance, you can go back to the channel, go back to the videos. We need to go all the way back to where Jackson Hole was. Where was it? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find it. It was this day right here, bulls, trap, bulls, and control. This was like the day before Jackson Hole. What was the point here? You had some data coming out going into this, and we anticipated good data, right? We anticipated that good data. However, with that good data from inflation, guess what happened? You had Jackson Hole and Powell basically just took a giant dump on the market. That's what happened here. The good news is we don't have Powell talking. We don't have Fed members talking. They did all that last week. And as much as they could try, they could not bring the market down. So that's what we love here. We like how CPI is forming. We like what information they're giving us. We also like their overall expectations. This is pointing towards a good CPI. What else do we like? Now we have a technical standpoint here as well, right? So going into the worrisome part of from Friday, we were saying if we can't break 12.8, you're bearish. You broke it. Congratulations. If you can't get above 41.3, you're bearish. You're breaking out of it right now, right? So going into this with a good report, I see upside at least into Thursday. Giving you my specific targets here, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm looking for at least 12.95 and then 13.03 roughly, right, on Nasdaq. So right about this block right here. After that, you have your next demand zone, which is going to be right up here. So from there, that's where you're going to try to see if sellers are going to step in and how we're going to react from that point. If you start getting above that, you got to look very bullish. And honestly, you're looking more and more bullish by the day, specifically with how you move today. Even though sellers were trying to push you down, they never could, and you bought back higher and higher and broke highs near the end of the day. Extremely bullish. So overall market, we're looking very strong. We love what we're seeing. We love it, right? Let's look at some of the fundamental viewpoints really quick. DXY going into today, major drop. You had a little bit of bounce back since market open, but still major drop. J&K, again, you gapped up, kind of went down, kind of stagnating, getting ready for that break up. I want to highlight here, use the opens indicator so you can see what happened before your last real move. Okay, let's just highlight what happened here. Okay, you had consolidation and then you popped. It's good to see. What happened here? You pushed up, consolidation, then you popped. Okay, consolidation. Do we pop? That's the question. Our next level here is 95.5. We love what we're seeing here. In my opinion, J&K looks good. That's what I love to see. Yields, how are those doing? The US versus the 30. What's happening here? The best overall telltale sign of inflation. You're having a little bit of downside here. We're expecting volatility since we're having that flatlining. However, you're still sitting here flat. So again, I want to highlight your yield inversion can go up. It's a lagging indicator 99% of the time. Just going to tell you that right now. So I'm going to be watching yields and how they react to the market if we bounce or if we drop. But I want to highlight right now, you're still sitting flat. So overall, that's what I'm looking at. I'm going to tell you some of the stocks I'm looking at and some of the plays I'm looking at as well. Let's get into those. First up, Microsoft. It's my favorite play. I talked about it with Discord. Let me explain exactly why. Now, if we look at what's happened here, if we look at the broad scale market, I want to show you the daily chart first. And we're going to actually just get it out of this. And I want to clear this up really quick. So remove all the drawings, remove all the indicators. So we don't care for anything. Okay. Now, as we get in here, what I want to highlight is what's basically happened on this major dip. If we look over the past, few months, we can see that basically our low has been established from May to July, roughly, at this region down at about 245, 246. Once you bottomed out and you really started recovering, you went from right here, 249, to highs of 294 in roughly 3 weeks. Major pump. Okay. From here, what was that key level? In my opinion, the key level you're watching is around 269. That's what I'm watching, basically this level right here. And you're getting back there right now. So if Microsoft can get above 269, I'm looking for extreme volatility. For instance, the day you broke it right here, the 269 level, you popped all the way up to 277 in a matter of 2.5 days. Boom, instant volatility. Here, you went from 269 all the way to 282 in less than a day. And then eventually ran to 294 in about a week and a half. Boom. So what we're looking at here is how you react to when you get to this level. Also, I like Microsoft because it recovered so fast on the previous bounce. So I'm looking at plays that react well to the market once we start bouncing. Microsoft, obvious, my favorite play right now. It's looking very good. Go into the shorter time frames. What's happening here as well? You're making higher lows across the board, people, continuously. Higher low, higher low, higher low. Even without the Nasdaq, you were still making those. And then on a more recent note, with the Nasdaq, how are you reacting here? Higher lows across the board, still pushing up, riding that trend there, and you're still making those higher lows as we speak as well, pushing up. End of the day, pushing up as well there. Next up, looking at Tesla. Now, I had some scalps here on Tesla, but I want to mention Tesla on a broader viewpoint here. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, actually one of the best holding up stocks that there is. Tesla is getting to a range where you have to say it might start getting very bullish. If we're looking at this on a broad scale, you can see this is our clear demand zone at around 312, 314 roughly. You break above that, you're looking absolutely bullish. In my opinion, you're going to work your way up here in a hurry. So I think Tesla will test this range over the next few weeks. Personal opinion. Love Tesla. We got to come back to it though and see how we react. If you break over this, you're going to start pushing to 320s and even higher. Don't want to go too much into that, but I absolutely love it. NVIDIA. We've already had the, I don't want to say leaps, but the swings into this play. We started buying down here around 136. Going into a shorter time frame, about the 15-minute, breaking this down. I want to highlight what's happening here and where you're at. You're already seeing that gap start to get filled. And I want to highlight what's already happened. If you look at NVIDIA, it's actually being a slower mover than AMD. AMD's already filled that gap from back here. Going back to NVIDIA. Where are you at? You're in the median range. We have a key level about 147, but I'm looking to take a little bit off there at 147 and then for that gap to be filled around 149. If indexes start to really run, semiconductors are the most beat up sector in the market. Therefore, in my opinion, they have massive room to run if volume and shorts have to start covering. For instance, on our last move, when he dipped down in July, where was your local high at? All the way at 192. Am I saying you're going to go to 192? No, but we've seen NVIDIA move and we've seen it move with volatility. There was also news that they're working with the Chinese companies as well for alternatives, which still, in my opinion, brings more and more value towards the company and why you're seeing that really nice bounce here. As well, if you're educated with the opens indicator, you had a clear entry signal on the day when you came right back down towards that monthly level and bounced. Again, extremely bullish here. Love, love, love what I'm seeing. Apple. I want to talk about Apple because it's just the most bullish stock on the market right now. That and Tesla. You're sitting in a bull flag here near the end of the day. In my opinion, Apple, you are looking to start running. Once you started filling that gap, I had a cause for concern, but you filled the gap and now you're in a bull flag. If you break out of this, in my opinion, you're heading towards 165 and then 166. Those are my key levels right there. It's important to mention though, you're holding that level right now near the end of the day, the 163.5 range. You love to see that. You can hold above that. That's going to be your support. That's going to propel you to get that 166 touch. That's what we love here. That's what we're watching. Last but not least, Netflix. Netflix was a play we were mentioning to people in the Discord as well. I was mentioning it very early. And the key thing that I was telling everyone was watch how you're bouncing here. So you come right down to your weekly open, 1, 2, 3 touches, making higher lows there, and then boom, you shoot up. Netflix still has a lot of room to run. We're targeting 242, and then beyond that, we're targeting the local highs that we established back here at 250 to 251. That's our next ranges there. That's what I'm loving to see. Again, though, what are we looking at here? We're looking to see if indexes are going to continue, because if indexes continue, that's the sign to play this long side and hold those positions. If not, scrap them, and you're looking to see if you break back below 12.8. If you break back below 12.8, that's your cause for concern. But so far, what's happened? You've tested 12.8, you got rejected like we expected, but you're making higher lows, and now you're making a higher high. This is bullish. The trend on Nasdaq has flipped, in my opinion. Here, the downside just didn't hold up, and now you're seeing buyers take over on the market. That's my opinion. That's what I'm looking at right now. Again, I want to highlight, was I wrong on Friday? To a certain extent, yes, but I had no positions in the market. I was very transparently clear on that. Right now, I'm showing you guys, I have the positions. I'm established here. I'm ready for the upside, and that's what I'm preparing for right now. See you tomorrow.